A name is just a word until you give it weight. You can call yourself anything, but until there's a visual anchor, a mark that people can look at and identify and immediately feel the energy behind it, it's just letters on a page. When I built this project, I wasn't just putting together a lineup or trying to fit into an existing mold. I was building an entire universe from the ground up. And in any universe, the visual language is what tells the story before a single note is ever sung, before the first step of choreography is ever taken. I spent countless hours agonizing over the aesthetic. Every design choice, every angle, and every texture was deliberate. I wanted to capture a feeling that bridges the two worlds, blends the ancient with the future. Think about the heavy grounded permanence of carved stone clashing with the sleek, glowing fluidity of silk. It's ancient myth colliding with modern technology. But that overarching philosophy doesn't just stop at the group's main identity, it trickles down into the very DNA of who we are individually. They are five members, five distinct identities, each carrying their own weight, their own history, and their own unique concept. Five different journeys that somehow perfectly converge into one unified vision. Today, I'm opening the vault and pulling back the curtain on that process. I'm going to break down the logos of all five members, exploring the deep lore, the obsessive design process, and the hidden meaning behind the marks that define us. This is the visual language of our world. These are the marks of KRYZAE. We begin at the genesis, the ignition point, Cryon, the eternal flame and the leader of KRYZAE. Every universe begins in the dark, and in our lore, Cryon is the one who awakens first. He opens his eyes to the world surrounded by nothing but ash and total ruin. He is stripped of his history, unable to remember exactly who he was. But there is a lingering, haunting instinct vibrated in his chest, the absolute certainty that he was once light. He pulls the other Eternals towards him through the void. When you look at his visual anchor, his logo, you see this entire narrative instantly. This isn't a clean, perfectly symmetrical synthetic fire. The deep red flame in the center is swirling, almost chaotic. It's encased within a distressed ancient compass. The shape extended compass points pushing outward represents his inescapable role as the leader, as the guiding star cutting through the darkness. Fire in its nature is paradoxical. It's incredibly dangerous, yet incredibly beautiful at the same time. It reduces empires to ash, but from that ash comes rebirth and perseverance. It provides the warmth that people naturally gather around in the cold, making Cryon the undeniable gravitational center of the group. He is the one who turns the world on. He is the spark that activates the entire era of KRYZAE. Cryon isn't just leading from the front. He is the core ignition point. Because when Cryon burns, the others rise. Cryon. Well, if Cryon is the spark that sets the world ablaze, then there must be an opposing force, right? A force that keeps the fire from consuming everything, a gravity to anchor the flame. That brings us to our second member, KRYVEX, the eternal wave. KRYVEX is the one who remembers the pain. In the lore, his awakening is entirely different. He doesn't open his eyes to the fire and ash. He awakens in the freezing, crashing depths near the ruins of a sunken city. He is immediately surrounded by echoes, voices traveling through the water of people he once loved, faces that have now been washed away and forgotten. But rather than drowning, KRYZAE carries his grief as his ultimate strength. You can see this beautiful, terrifying duality perfectly captured in his logo. Within the same distressed ancient compass that holds Crayon's film, we see a towering monolithic tidal wave. It is captured in the exact suspended fraction of a second before gravity takes over. The dark abyss-like blues layered with the stark, piercing white foam center creates a feeling of immense, overwhelming pressure. It's the calm the ocean has that suddenly, violently became a storm. Like a wave, KRYZAE first rises, then he breaks, and finally, he erases everything in his path. It's beautiful, quiet, and deadly. And this conceptual framework isn't just for show. It is the absolute blueprint for his role as the main rapper and producer of KRYZAE. Think about what rap actually is at its core. Rap is breath, it's pressure, it's a rhythm. Rap is water. The idea is that when KRYZAE performs, his delivery is defined by flow, smooth, rolling, cascading words that glide over a beat. But just like the ocean, that rhythm can shift in an instant. His short, four syllables crash against the precision. His deep, resonant voice pulls the listener back, and then he hits you with a sudden, explosive burst of speed that hits you like a tidal wave. Rappers can command energy, but waves commands gravity. KRYZAE doesn't need to shout to be heard. His voice pulls you in entirely, wrapping around you like an undertone until you are completely submerged in his sound. When immense forces collide, there's an inevitable friction. If Cryon is the fire that burns continuously and KRYZAE is the wave that steadily builds its pressure, what happens when those opposing energies meet? Left unchecked, it is just chaos. You need a grounding force. You need a tactician. You need precision. You need our third member, Cryon, the eternal storm. While others remember the fall or the pain, Cryon remembers purpose. In the law of our universe, he doesn't awaken in stillness. He awakens entirely mid-strike. He opens his eyes caught exactly in the terrifying fraction of a second between chaos and control. In his mind, he holds on to the fractured, devastating memories of the divine war, the very conflict where the Eternals first fell. Because of this, his raw energy, lightning without a storm, searching for a direction to strike. He steps into the role of the sub-leader and the group's all-rounder. He acts as Cryon's right hand, but make no mistake, he is never Cryon's shadow. Instead, Cryon is a reflection of what Cryon could become if the eternal flame never burned too wildly. He is the quiet weapon, the one who steps in to ground the others when their mythic powers clash. Look at the visual manifestation of his identity, anchored within the same ancient distress compass that binds the group. A brilliant, jagged bolt of pure yellow lightning shatters the darkness. It doesn't swirl like fire or roll like water. It fractures the space instantly. It's sharp, blindingly bright, and entirely violent. Lightning never asks permission. It simply hits, and in a single second, the entire landscape of the world is changed forever. This translates directly into his execution as an artist. There are different kinds of power on stage. You have the continuous burning presence and you have the sweeping gravitational pull. But KRYZAE is the instantaneous hit. As the all-rounder, his versatility makes him the most dangerous kind of performer. He is a silent threat until the exact moment he strikes. His choreography is terrifyingly sharp, cutting through the space. He delivers rapid fire rap lines with zero hesitation, transitioning seamlessly into explosive high notes, and engineers the most unexpected, breathtaking moments on stage. KRYZAE's speed, his impact is absolute master of turning a fleeting fraction of a second into an eternal memory. Every storm eventually breaks, and every fire needs a sky to burn against. When you have forces as volatile and as overwhelming as Kryon, KRYVEX, and KRYZAE, you need a completely different kind of anchor. You need someone who doesn't dominate with raw, explosive power, but rather with a quiet, undeniable gravity. This brings us to our fourth member of the lineup, KRYZAE, the eternal crescent and the main vocalist of KRYZAE. In our universe, while the others wake to suffocating ash, sunken ruins, or the chaotic, violent mid-strike of battle, KRYZAE's awakening is defined by profound stillness. He opens his eyes under a pale, solitary moon, hearing the world's cries in total silence. While his brothers remember the agonizing fall, the crushing pain, or the sharp precision of war, KRYZAE remembers emotion. He remembers the sheer beauty that existed long before the Eternals ever fell. Because of this deeply ingrained memory, he becomes the emotional thread of the group. He is the gentle moonlight that guides the others through the fog. He is the very first to recognize their connection, the one who understands the invisible magnetic pull of destiny. His purpose is to remind them exactly why they must rise again. When you look at his mark, you immediately feel this massive shift of energy, resting inside the exact same compass that binds the others. There is no violent, chaotic element. Instead, there is a brilliant, luminous crescent moon set against the deep, infinite expansion of a starry night sky. His light doesn't burn and it doesn't crash. It reflects. It is the necessary calm to KRYZAE's blazing fire, the celestial body that pulls the violent tide of KRYVEX's waves, and the vast open night sky where the entire team's light can finally shine. His persona is the quiet heart with the loudest voice. Moonlight is never loud, it's absolute. Everyone in the world on earth can feel its presence. While KRYZAE acts as blazing gravitational center and KRYVEX as the unstoppable crashing wave, KRYZAE provides the ultimate necessary contrast. He is the silent that gives their sound meaning. Even with the blazing fire of KRYZAE, the overwhelming tide of KRYVEX, the striking precision of KRYZAE, and the calming reflection of KRYZAE, a body without a pulse is just a statue. To truly bring this group to life, you need an emotional core. You need a heartbeat that brings the group together. That brings us to our fifth member, KRYZAE, the masked dancer, the eternal flower, and the youngest of the Eternals. In the lore, KRYZAE is the last of the initial group to awaken. He doesn't hold on to the crushing memories of the war, nor does he remember the agonizing fall. All he remembers is a profound, lingering feeling, the devastating sensation of watching everything he knew slowly fade away into nothingness. Because of this, words fail him. He cannot express his grief, his hope, or his purpose through speech. He can only speak through movement. It is through his dance that he physically awakens the buried memories of the others. He keeps the group tethered to their humanity, bringing a vital softness to their overwhelming mythic power. When you look at his visual anchor, we see the profound mystery of his identity captured perfectly. Set inside that same ancient distress compass is an ornate, beautifully detailed mask covering against a swirling, ethereal purple void. A mask is often misunderstood as a tool to hide weakness, but in KRYZAE's case, it symbolizes both ultimate protection and raw vulnerability. It shields his silent pain while simultaneously revealing his deepest truth through motion. His choreography tells entire devastating stories, making it look as though he has been waiting his entire life for this exact moment to finally be seen. While Kryon leads, KRYVEX rebels, Kryl fails, and Kryon strikes. KRYZAE is the heartbeat that makes them whole. And there you have it, the visual anchors, the marks of KRYZAE. When you look at these symbols, you aren't just looking at graphic designs. You're looking at a very foundation of an entire universe. You're looking at the heavy, ancient weight of a mythos colliding with the sharp, relentless momentum of the future. I started this journey with a simple philosophy. A name is just a word until you give it away. Through the blazing, redemptive fire of Kryon, the devastating, beautiful pressure of KRYVEX, the blinding precision strike of Kryon, the quiet, emotional gravity of Kryl, and the silent, pulsing heartbeat of KRYZAE. I've given this universe its weight. These are not just logos to be printed on a screen. They are the heralds of everything that this group is about to build. But here's the most important part of this entire video. What you're looking at today is just version 1. We are building this universe from the ground up, and we don't want to do it behind closed doors. Ignore my closed door in the back. We want you right here in the architecture room with us. These symbols are living, breathing concepts as we continue to shape the lore and eventually expand this group into what is, I believe, a massive global opportunity. These marks are going to evolve, and I want your fingerprints on that evolution. So I need you to sound off in the comments which element calls to you most. Are you drawn to the fire that leads, the wave that rebels, the lightning that strikes, the moon that feels, or the mask that speaks without words? And more importantly, how can we push these designs even further? What hidden details, color shifts, or subtle texture changes would you suggest to make these symbols hit even harder? Let us know your ideas, your visual theories, and your raw feedback. You aren't just an audience of KRYZAE, you are part of the architectural team helping us build this world. If you want to keep diving deeper into the lore, the music, the relentless process of designing this project, make sure you are subscribed and have those notifications turned on. The universe is expanding and we want you here for every single step of it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for stepping into our world. And until next time, keep that spark alive.